Welcome to Too Fond of Books. My name is Janelle and this is a book haul, right? I haven't done a book haul in, I don't know, a month or so, 2 months, and so it is about time. And I have once again a huge book haul. And here I'm going to blame the library and the thrift stores because the library I've been offering their pop-up book sale books for free for the past few months because of the pandemic. And so I've got quite a stack from those. I've got some books from little free libraries, and then just from bookstores and sales. So let's just dive right into this. The first book I want to show you is actually technically from my last book haul, the one where I was at the sale, the 50% off sale. So I spent, or whatever the sale was, but I spent 50 cents for this book, but it was getting repaired because a huge chunk of it had come out, so it needed to be glued back together. So it got missed out. So this is Travels in West Africa by Mary Kingsley. This is part of the National Geographic Adventure series, the greatest adventure books of all time, selected by National Geographic. So this is a non-fiction. It is the stories of this particular woman's travels in West Africa. Fascinating. I think that I'm going to save this for Victober because this was 1893. Mary Kingsley set off alone for West Africa to collect botanical specimens. And that just sounds fascinating to me. Okay, the first 3 books here I got from little free libraries. So I have The Last Kingdom by Bernard Cornwell. This is a historical fiction set in the time of the Vikings and the Saxons in England. So, 866 is when it opens, I believe. So yeah, this is the first book in his series and I'm excited to get into that. I also found Mr. Churchill's Secretary by Suzanne Elia MacNeal. This is the first in her series. I enjoy this series. This is very entertaining. This is the first one, like I said, and it's in London in 1940, so right at the beginning of the war, and our main character, Maggie Hope, is an American, or half American, who gets hired as Mr. Churchill's secretary. And then finally I found The Axe Factor by Colin Cotterill. This is a Jim Jury mystery. So he's got his other series, and I forget what they're called, the Dr. Siri series, but this is actually from the Jim Jury series, and it looks like it's the 3rd one. So this is set in Thailand, in the southern Thailand, still living with her decidedly eccentric family under protest in a rural village on the coast of southern Thailand. All Jim Jury wants is for something thrilling to happen for once. A former crime reporter in the big city of Chiang Mai, she finally scraps together an interesting assignment. She is sent out to interview a local Farang writer, a European writer, a man in his late 50s, originally from England, who writes award-winning crime novels, one Conrad Coralbank. So yeah, this is set in Thailand, and it has a journalist character, and yeah, so it's a mystery. I'm looking forward to trying that out. Okay, and the rest of this stack I got for free from our library pop-up sale. I got Nancy Atherton's Aunt Dimity's Christmas. I'm collecting this series, and I was excited to find this one because I've been looking for this one for a little bit. This is a cozy series set in the Cotswolds in England. I found, and this one's in a bit of rough shape, but A Study in Scarlet Women by Sherry Thomas. This is the first in the Lady Sherlock series. So this is historical mystery. Charlotte Holmes is the main character. So this is a play on, like, what if Sherlock Holmes was a woman, because she ends up using the assumed name of Sherlock Holmes to solve the cases. So yeah, I find that interesting. I found Next Year in Havana by Chanel Cleeton. I'm going to use this for my Around the World challenge for Cuba. This is a dual timeline historical fiction. After the death of her beloved grandmother, a Cuban-American woman travels to Havana where she discovers the roots of her identity and unearths a family secret hidden since the revolution. So this is set in Havana in 1958 and Miami in 2017. I found The New Girl by Daniel Silva. This one is a large print, so I'm going to read it and then put it in our own little free library. But this is from his Gabriel Allen series. So this is spy espionage. What I like about this series is that Gabriel Allen's like his cover is that he's an art restorer, and I find that world really interesting. This is The Calligrapher's Daughter by Eugenia Kim. First of all, what attracted me to this book to pick it up was this cover. I thought that was really pretty. This is a sweeping debut novel inspired by the life of the author's mother about a young woman who dares to fight for a brighter future in occupied Korea. So that, again, just sounded really interesting, and I'll probably be using this for my Around the World reading challenge for Korea. And then I also found The Siege Winter by Ariana Franklin and Samantha Norman. This is part of her, I believe it's part of her Mistress of the Art of Death, but maybe not. She wrote the Mistress of the Art of Death series, which I really like, and this one may actually just be a standalone. So this is set in England in 1141. The countryside is devastated by a long civil war that has left thousands dead. With no clear winner in the conflict, castles and villages change hands from month to month as the English King Stephen and his cousin, the Empress Matilda, fight for the crown. And so there's two main characters, it seems. Emma, the 11-year-old redheaded daughter of a peasant family, and Maud, the 15-year-old chatelaine of Kenilworth, a small but strategically important castle she's determined to protect as the war rages around them. I got another Daniel Silva, House of Spies, also from the Gabriel Allen series. And then I got a couple Carola Erickson. She writes Tudor fiction. This is The Favored Queen, a novel of Henry VIII's third wife, and so that will be Jane Seymour. And then this one is Rival to the Queen, a novel, the bitter rivalry between Queen Elizabeth I and her fascinating cousin Lettice Knowles for the love of one extraordinary man, Robert Dudley. And then I found Elizabeth Adler, One Way or Another. I've never read anything by this author, but the description was just intriguing. What begins as a beautiful evening at a party on a yacht ends with attempted murder and a quest for revenge. One moment, Angie Morse is standing on the deck of a large luxury yacht, and the next, she feels a stinging blow to her head from a champagne bottle wielded by a beautiful woman. Then a push, she is in the water. She can see people on the yacht, but they don't seem to notice that she has gone, and all seem to have deliberately turned their backs as the yacht begins to slowly pull away from her. So yeah, it's a story about revenge. And then The Hanging Girl by UC Adler-Olsen. This is part of the Department Q series, and it is set in I want to say Sweden. This has been translated by William Frost, set in Denmark. And then finally, The Endless Forest by Sarah Donati. Again, I've never heard of this author or this book, but it just sounded interesting. It is set in the remote village of Paradise, where the Bonner family, the readers first met and Into the Wilderness make their home. So it's the spring of 1824, Paradise, New York. A flood devastates the village, but for Nathaniel and Elizabeth Bonner, it's also time of reunion as their children return from far off places. So it's basically historical fiction. Okay, let's see what's to do, what to do next. All right, I got this stack of books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at the thrift store for $4. I found The Way of All Flesh by Ambrose Parry. This is historical mystery set in Edinburgh in 1847, and it follows an apprentice in medicine to Dr. Simpson, and I really enjoy this story. I got Lady Catherine and the Real Downton Abbey by the Countess of Carnarvon. This is the story of Lady Catherine, a beautiful American girl who became the chatelaine of Highclere Castle, the setting for Downton Abbey. And so this was written by the current Countess. And so this is non-fiction history, and it just sounded interesting. And I got My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. This is one of her standalone books. She wrote the Shopaholic series. This one is about Katie Brenner. Everywhere Katie Brenner looks, someone else is living the life she longs for, particularly her boss, Demeter Farlow. Really? Demeter? I read this, but it was long ago and I forgot that his name was Demeter. Demeter? I'm not sure. Demeter, probably. Is brilliant and creative, lives with her perfect family in a posh townhouse, and wears the coolest clothes. Katie's life, meanwhile, is a daily struggle, from her dismal rental to her oddball flatmates to the tense office politics she's trying to negotiate. No wonder Katie takes refuge in not quite true Instagram posts, especially as she's desperate to make her dad proud. Then, just as she's finding her feel, not to mention a possible new romance, the worst happens. Demeter fires Katie. Shattered but determined to stay positive, she retreats to her family's farm in Somerset to help them set up a vacation business. London has never seemed so far away until Demeter unexpectedly turns up as a guest. Secrets are spilled and relationships are rejiggered, and as the stakes for Katie's future gets higher, she must question her own assumptions about what makes for a truly meaningful life. And then I got a couple Ken Follett's. This is Winter of the World, which is the second in his Century trilogy, which is, this is the century, the 20th century, I believe. Yeah, so this one takes place between 1939 and 1945. And then book 3, Edge of Eternity, which takes place, let's see. Yeah, in the latter half of the century. So those were 5 books for $4. And then I also had a quick run into the bookstore, the used bookstore, and I'm so glad that I did, because I found Martyr by Rory Clemens. This is an Elizabethan series about John Shakespeare, who is the brother of William Shakespeare. This is the first book in the series, and for some reason these books are really hard to find, but I've read a few of them and I quite enjoy them. John Shakespeare, Elizabethan England's most remarkable investigator, is the main character. It's a tale of murder and conspiracy that succeeds brilliantly as both historical fiction and a crime thriller. So yeah, I find it an interesting time period and an interesting character. And then I found a whole bunch of Rex Stout. So I've been trying to collect the Nero Wolfe series, and when she noticed that I was asking about one in particular, I saw up on the very top shelf, I had to ask her to get it down, I saw this and 4 to Go, a Nero Wolfe foursome. So this one has Christmas Party, Easter Parade, 4th of July Picnic, and Murder is No Joke. So 4 stories in here. But this is like an original cover. When she saw that I wanted this, she told me that she'd just gotten in a batch of Rex Stout and she hadn't even put them out yet. But she would get them for me if I wanted to check them out. And I did. So I was able to find, and I was so excited, Before Midnight, Gambit, and Death of a Doxy. So these are like the old covers, which I was just so excited about. Then I also got another old one, but it didn't have a dust jacket. This is Curtains for Three. And then I also found some in paperback form. Too Many Cooks, Too Many Women, A Family Affair, Trio for Blunt Instruments, Prisoner's Base, and If Death Ever Slept. And then I also got Robert Goldsborough received permission from the Stout Estate to continue the Nero Wolfe stories, and this is one, Fade to Black. So I was super excited about that, and I now have almost all of the Nero Wolfe books. So that was really exciting, and really I paid really decent prices for those, and I was so excited to get some of those hardcover ones in those dust jackets. So that was really exciting. Then I also stopped at the Value Village because it was right across from the bookstore, and I found a few more books as well. So I found 3 in the Hamish Macbeth series that I'm collecting. So I found Death of a Greedy Woman, Death of a Scriptwriter, and Death of a Perfect Wife. And then I also found an Agatha Raisin, which I'm also collecting, There Goes the Bride. So that was very exciting. And then I found a book. I actually squealed out loud when I saw it, because I have been looking for this book for possibly 10 years. I have every other book in the series except for this one. So when I saw it there on the shelf in Value Village, I actually squealed out loud. And this is The Queen's Christmas by Karen Harper. This is from her Elizabeth I Historical Mystery series. And I now have all of the books in that series, and it's like 10 maybe. And so I'm super excited, and I will be rereading this series too. This is a history book, We Two, Victoria and Albert, Rulers, Partners, Rivals by Gillian Gill. So this is a history about the relationship between Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. And then I got Mary, Queen of Scotland and the Isles by Margaret George. This is a novel of, obviously, Mary, Queen of Scots. She was a child crowned a queen, a sinner hailed a saint, a lover denounced as a whore, a woman murdered for her dreams. And then another history, Game of Queens by Sarah Gristwood, The Women Who Made 16th Century Europe. This one sounded really interesting. 16th century Europe saw an explosion of female rule. Whether they were on the throne or behind the scenes, women held unprecedented power for more than 100 years. From Isabella of Castile, her daughter Catherine of Aragon, her granddaughter Mary Tudor, to Catherine de' Medici, Anne Boleyn, and Elizabeth Tudor. These women wielded enormous authority over their territories, shaping the course of European history. At once a fascinating group biography and a thrilling political epic, Game of Queens explores the lives of some of the most beloved and reviled queens in history. From the rise of this age of queens to its eventual collapse, one thing is certain: Europe would never be the same. So that just sounded really interesting. I got a few books from Amazon. These first few were on sale, and so I got them for between $2 and $4 each. I got The Kiev Killings by G.K. George. This is a historical mystery series, or a historical mystery book. This is the second in the series of the adventures of Vasiliv and Serov. They go to Kiev, a city gripped in the horror of the 1881 pogroms against the Jews. There they struggle to solve a murder that is shrouded in the fog of ethnic violence, government corruption, terrorist plots of revolutionaries, and the strivings of Polish and Ukrainian nationalists. So yeah, I'd never heard of that before, but that just sounded really interesting. And I got Edinburgh Midnight by Carol Lawrence. This is from the Ian Hamilton mystery series. I heard about this series from Angie at Literary Labors. 19th century Edinburgh, Detective Hamilton is divining the motive for murder. Spiritualism has captured the public's imagination. Seances are all the rage, and Detective Ian Hamilton's otherwise sensible Aunt Lillian is not immune to their allure. But for Ian, indulging her superstitions has its limits. When members of Lillian's circle of seance friends begin turning up dead, Ian doesn't need a medium to tell him these aren't freak accidents. With the help of his friend Arthur Conan Doyle, Ian investigates, and he is soon drawn into a dark world of believers and tricksters, and a puzzling series of murders with no pattern, no motive, and no end in sight. And I also picked up The Leaden Heart by Chris Nixon. This is part of his Tom Harper series. Again, historical mystery set in Leeds in 1899. And Tom Harper is a detective superintendent. And I like that these are set in Leeds. I think it's good to read, you know, books that are set other than in London, say. And Leeds isn't a place that I read about very often, so I find that interesting. And I got Forever and a Day by Anthony Horowitz. This is part of his James Bond series. A spy is dead, a legend is born. The sea keeps its secrets, but not this time. One body, 3 bullets. 007 floats in the waters of Marseille, killed by an unknown hand. It's time for a new agent to step up. Time for a new weapon in the war against organized crime. It's time for James Bond to earn his license to kill. This is the story of the birth of a legend in the brutal underworld of the French Riviera. And very exciting, I got It Walks by Night by John Dixon Carr, a Paris mystery. This is a recent one put out by the British Library Crime Classics series. A brooding locked room mystery in the gathering dusk of the French capital. This was published originally in 1930. In the smoke-wreathed gloom of a Parisian saloon, Inspector Ben Colin has summoned his allies to discuss a peculiar case. A would-be murderer, imprisoned for his attempt to kill his wife, has escaped and is known to have visited a plastic surgeon. His whereabouts remain a mystery, though. With his former wife poised to marry another, Ben Colin predicts his return. Sure enough, the inspector's worst suspicions are realized when the beheaded body of the new suitor is discovered in a locked room of the saloon with no apparent exit. Ben Colin sets off into the Parisian night to unravel the dumbfounding mystery and track down the sadistic killer. So that's very exciting. And then I was so excited when I found this. This is The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. I absolutely loved her book, The Alice Network. She also did The Huntress, which was also really good. This one is set at Bletchley Park, which I find fascinating. 1940. As England prepares to fight the Nazis, 3 very different women answer the call to mysterious country estate Bletchley Park, where the best minds in Britain train to break German military codes. Vivacious debutante Osla has everything: beauty, wealth, and the dashing Prince Philip of Greece sending her roses. But she burns to prove herself as more than a society girl and puts her fluent German to use as a translator of decoded enemy secrets. Imperious self-made Mab, a product of East End London poverty, works the legendary code-breaking machines as she conceals old wounds and looks for a socially advantageous husband. Both Osla and Mab are quick to see the potential in local village spinster Beth, whose shyness conceals a brilliant facility with puzzles, and soon Beth spreads her wings as one of the park's new female cryptanalysts. But war, loss, and the impossible pressure of secrecy will tear the 3 apart. 1947. As the royal wedding of Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip whips post-war Britain into a fever, the 3 friends turned enemies are reunited by a mysterious encrypted letter, the key to which lies buried in the long-ago betrayal that destroyed their friendship and left one of them confined to an asylum. An enigmatic traitor has emerged from the shadows of their Bletchley Park past, and now Osla, Mab, and Beth must resurrect their old alliance and crack one last code together. But each petal they remove from the rose code brings danger and their true enemy closer. So I'm very excited about this one. So there you have it, my most recent book haul. Again, so many books, but I would love to know if you've read any of these. Please let me know in the comment section down below if you think I should read them sooner than later. I mean, there's a lot to get to here. And do any of these books sound intriguing to you? I would love to know about that as well. And I will see you for another video soon.